Warning: this chapter deals with both an eating disorder after leaving rehab and substance addiction, with the two running alongside each other during my time in Thailand.
Today is Thursday, the 6th of August 2026, and I am here with Benjamin, and we're going to talk about Ed's reaction to leaving Inner Balance, his return home to Bhutan, and finding a second home in Thailand.
Chapter 17: Inside the Vision. While in the Uber, Ed asserted what he had been building for 4 weeks. The drive from Loveland to the hotel I was staying in Denver was 45 minutes. I was staying at the airport hotel for the night before flying back to Houston the next morning. 4 weeks of restriction, 2 meals a day. The body was in a starved state. I placed the DoorDash order from the back of the Uber. Ice cream, boxes of cookies, cakes, brownies, M&Ms, chocolate bars, pizzas. I was aware of Ed ordering. There was no space between the ordering and the present self, with the future self's goals in mind that could have stopped him. The delivery arrived at the airport hotel the same time I did. That afternoon I binged and purged. That night I binged and purged again. I flew back to Houston the next morning. The pattern from the hotel kept running, binging and purging through the first 6 weeks of July and into August. Sometimes once a day, sometimes more. The body that had left Inner Balance starved was now eating its way back in the worst possible architecture. By mid-August, we were trying to get me out of the environment that was producing the pattern. My mom, Sam, and I left for Bhutan. We had a one-day stopover in Bangkok on the way. That was the day I bought my first pack of cigarettes. The next morning in the Bangkok airport before our connecting flight, I bought a sleeve of cigarettes, and landing in Bhutan felt like coming home. I had grown up in the United States. I had only been to Bhutan once before when I was 14, but the moment we landed, the body recognized the place and I was home. This was the first time Sam and I had gone to visit the village our mother grew up in. The days were busy. We were on the move from morning until night, family to visit, places to see, parts of the country my brother and I had never seen before. I ate the way the family ate, traditional Bhutanese food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between, no fasting, no restriction, and I got a break. The patterns hadn't stopped, they had just not been able to follow me. Staying with relatives meant no privacy, no food delivery apps, no bathroom alone for long enough. The disorder couldn't operate in the architecture of a Bhutanese family home. While in our mother's village, we went down to the village center first, the temple at the bottom, the house my mom had grown up in with her mother and father. Then we walked up the hill to the temple at the top of the village, the one that overlooks the village and the valley, the shrine to the protector of the village. At the entrance, everyone who entered had to roll 2 six-sided dice. The protector of our village had a number. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I was going to roll it. The same certainty the 16-year-old had carried in the hospital in 2017. I let go of the dice, a 6 and a 3. 9. My second cousin watched. She told me what the number meant. The village protector's number, the same number her mother and my mom's sister had rolled on the day they heard I was in the ICU. They had come straight to this temple, rolled the dice, rolled a 9, and then called my mom in the United States. And don't worry, Ben is safe. He is protected. My brother and I followed my uncle into the back room, where there is a shrine, 4 statues, and I saw him. Same helmet, same body armor, the same figure I had seen in the ICU. I stood in front of him for 5 minutes, tracing the outlines of his armor with my physical eyes, the same outlines I had traced in my mind in the hospital 7 years earlier. I walked out of the back room with the figure still in my mind, and the rest of the trip ran the way the trip had been running. family, travel, Bhutanese food, no binging, no purging. But something else was now present that hadn't been present before. I didn't have a practice for it yet. I didn't have language for it. The temple wasn't the full opening of anything, it was a seed. The spiritual axis had been planted that afternoon. Like every other skill, it would only build through repetition, sitting with it, returning to it, watering it. For a month, the body got a break it hadn't earned, and the spirit got a beginning it would build on for the rest of my life. At the end of the month, I made the decision, and I wasn't going back to Houston yet. I was going to stay in Thailand, live in Chiang Mai, train Muay Thai. That was what the April classroom vision had been pointing at. The environment, the Muay Thai, the next phase of rehab from my stroke. The vision had had a real place in the world, and I was going to live there. I had told my mom and Sam about a week before the trip ended. By the time I said it out loud, the decision was already whole. Mind, body, and spirit aligned for the first time. The first decision where no part of me was lagging behind another. A week after I told my mom and Sam, I flew from Bhutan to Bangkok and then from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. The first 4 months in Chiang Mai had a shape. I found a Muay Thai gym owned by a guy from the United Kingdom. He had been training Muay Thai since he was 12 or 13. Faraz became my crew, my teacher. This is what those days looked like. Wake up, journal, Tai Chi, ride my scooter to the reservoir on the campus of Chiang Mai University, metronome around the reservoir, walk first, then run, then to the gym to train Muay Thai with him. 1 to 2 hours of training. By 11 or noon, I was back home. The next 5 or 6 hours were study, brain training, history, human behavior, psychology, sociology, whatever I wanted to learn that wasn't being assigned by anyone. Back to the gym in the afternoon for a lift, back home. The day was over. Ed was still operating, lower frequency than Houston. A binge maybe once a week, sometimes more. The structure held most of the days, it didn't hold all of them. In those early morning hours on the reservoir, I would run past people sitting on benches at the base of the water, no phones, no headphones, just sitting. For the first time, I was seeing externally what it looked like to be a human being. Not the skill I had been building inside myself since inner balance. The skill already in someone else, visible while I ran by. A person doing nothing but being where they were. That was the structure. Every day, 4 months, I was inside the vision. In early January, in the marijuana shop I had been visiting 2 or 3 times a week through the first 4 months, I noticed something in the refrigerator. A liter bottle of liquid, brownish greenish. I had seen people drinking it. I had seen the shop selling it. One day I bought a bottle to try it. Ed fell in love with it immediately, and it was kratom. The liter of liquid filled my stomach. The physical starvation state that Ed had needed to operate was no longer reachable. The stomach that always had something in it couldn't get to the place where the binge would happen. The structure had held most of the days for 4 months. Kratom held the rest. The dose escalated the way every other substance had escalated. One bottle became two, two became more. By mid-February, I was sipping it from waking to sleep. The Muay Thai training continued until the beginning of February. Then the kratom had completely consumed me, and the training stopped. What drinking that much kratom did was remove the need to eat for most of the day, sometimes for days in a row. I would go days without eating until the physical starvation kicked in hard enough to send me into a binge and purge. The next day, back to drinking kratom. The shape of the days changed. In Tai Chi, there's a teaching that everything in life works in threes. The kratom coffee cigarette day was a prime example of it. 2 coffees first thing in the morning, the upper, then sipping the kratom, the downer, to balance the upper, then a cigarette whenever I needed a small jolt back up against the kratom. By the middle of the day, the cycle would re-up. More coffee, more kratom, More cigarettes in the gaps, and underneath all of it, my body just wanted to sleep. Study from the morning until 6 or 7 at night, study sessions broken up by a long walk in the middle of the day. Sipping kratom, smoking cigarettes all day. At the end of these long study days, after the cigarette, coffee, and kratom cycle had run its course throughout the day, I began to have visions. My apartment was on the third floor. Directly across from my door was a balcony looking down over an alley in Chiang Mai. I would walk out onto it, and there the vision came, not once, again and again at the end of those days, that the balcony was a stage, that I was looking down at people, that I could help them through my own story. In early March, my visa was at its end, and I had been in Thailand for 6 months. I had extended the visa once. I wasn't going to extend it again. Up until the morning I left, I was on the coffee kratom cigarette cycle. I flew from Chiang Mai to Taipei, Taipei to Houston. The Taipei to Houston leg was 13 or 14 hours. I spent it in withdrawal and terrible stomach pains, a headache that wouldn't let me sleep. I got up 3 times to purge the residual kratom still in my system. The body hadn't gone without kratom in 2 months. The withdrawal had been waiting. The flight delivered it. By the time the plane landed in Houston, I just needed to get off. The pain I had endured had been my own doing. I was the first one out of my seat, the first one off the plane.